Hi everyone, welcome to the Nourishing Lives One Bite at a Time podcast. For those who are new to our podcast, my name is Allison from Google, an AI kitchen assistant platform, and together with me here is Primie from Stellar Eat, a platform for special dietary eater. Our podcast here is about the relationship between the food and health, lifestyle, and everything in between. In our podcast, we will invite the nutritionist, dietitian, farm or the food brand owner to join us and share their insight, their story. So joining us today is Sadia from Allergy Eatables.
Hello.
Sadia, so welcome to our pod. Can you start with the basic, like tell us who are you, what you do, and why you do what you do?
My name is Sadia Malik. And first of all, thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I am the owner of Allergy Eatables, a brand that provides safe and very free food options for families or individuals with food allergies. We innovate traditional condiments and snacks to make them free from common allergens.
Can you tell us also why you start this business? What was your problem that you were trying to solve?
Born out of my own personal journey as a mom of two kids who both of them have multiple severe food allergies. And what I found was at the time, this was 18 years ago, and I found that what was available on the market in the shops was very limited, very bland, and not what we were used to eating. So this business is born out of my own personal journey where I felt the overwhelm, the worry to feed my kid.
That's lovely to hear that what seems to be a problem and now every family that is having the same situation as you can now enjoy your brand. Thank you for sharing that.
And the reason we're here today is not just talking about the relationship with food, but a more important aspect of it, budgeting. Like we all know that the food price these days are crazy, and everybody is more concerned about like how to do the budgeting when it comes to cooking. So cooking on a budget can feel a little bit overwhelming, especially with the food inflation nowadays. So what's your best advice for making a tasty, allergy-friendly meals without spending too much? Because like especially the dairy-free or gluten-free food is pricier compared to the other ingredients.
Yes. So what I would say is focus on simple ingredients. Focus on recipes that your families love and are simple to make. Substitute smartly, like use ingredients that you have already at home. Substitute them with your allergen, and also repurpose any leftovers. For example, make a minced meat like a Pakistani curry, and then the next day I make gluten-free pasta out of it, a dish with pasta if there's any leftover.
Yeah, I know this is quite personal, but can you share a little bit about your personal experience, like how many people in your family and the budget that you spend like on the weekly basis for your grocery?
Okay, so right now there's an inflation. Things are a bit out of it. Well,
Yeah.
like around 200 for four people at home,
Oh,
two of which are have food allergies. But over time, I've learned what to buy and what not to buy. As a food allergy household, what we eat on a regular basis, what will if I buy and will just sit there and nobody will eat. I don't buy anything extra, and I buy just enough that
Uh-huh.
I know that we will eat within a week. For example, if you buy more quantity, yes, you buy in bulk and you get a discount, but then you are keeping it at home and it's just getting wasted if you're not eating it.
yeah.
It goes moldy or it goes unless you freeze it. That's a separate story. But if you're not eating it and for somehow you're so busy, yeah,
Yeah.
so you have basically wasted your money.
Yeah, I love that. Like how do we keep ourselves from these impulses? And I also love the tip that you gave us about freezing some of the foods
Yes.
that you also buy if you can. Having to balance wallet friendly food and also thinking about nutritious. What would be your best recommendation, not getting ourselves ahead of just buying because they're on sale, because, you know, you want to try it. But how do we stay both nutritious and wallet friendly, making it affordable?
So you need to focus on what you're going to make during the week and what ingredients you need and the quantity, and just buy enough of that. Maybe a little extra, but not too much, as that can go, as I have discussed, it can go moldy and stuff. And then repurpose the leftovers. Like if anything is leftover, you can eat it like a day, a second day as well. It's fine because it's in the fridge. People eat food out of trash cans if they can't afford food. Some people in this world are eating out of trash cans. So we can eat food that's been in the fridge for two days. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But and then if you're getting bored of it, then you can repurpose it into other recipes. Like you can make lasagna out of, as I said, from the mincemeat. You can make lasagna or a spaghetti bolognese, that sort of stuff.
You are an expert in like swapping the ingredient to make the recipe more allergy friendly. So can you share like how did you come up with the idea? Any like story behind? Also, the second thing is, can you share some of the your favorite budget friendly recipe that swapping the audience swapping the ingredient works well for the home cook?
In the beginning, I didn't know what to do, how to do. I was very overwhelmed with how to make my kids eat food that are safe for them. And as I've told you, like on 18 years ago in the grocery stores, there wasn't much choice available, and if there was any, it was very bland. It wasn't what we were used to eating. So I started making stuff at home, and one of the things my kids wanted to eat was pancakes. So, and
Yeah.
at that time, I don't think there were many egg replacers on the shelf. So what I did was I just thought like egg is a liquid and water is a liquid. So I substituted egg with water in the pancakes, and they turned
Yeah.
out to be fluffy. So that's
Oh.
how I discovered that I can substitute water in the pancakes if you don't have an egg substitute or another thing that you can substitute it with. And then I discovered like when you're baking or making anything with confectioner's sugar, like the icing sugar, it usually has cornstarch, and corn is one of the main allergens. What you do is you can grind granulated sugar, the regular sugar that you have at home, in a coffee grinder and make it like a fine consistency, confectioner's sugar,
Yeah.
and it will work perfectly. And then soy sauce as well. I love making Far East Asian dishes a lot. One of the main ingredients in there is usually soy sauce. And soy
Yes.
was one of the
Exactly.
allergens of my daughter. What I had to think hard, really hard, how I can substitute it. And then I went for the taste. Like, what does this soy sauce contribute? One of the things it does is make it the dish salty, right? Use salt to replace
Mm-hmm.
soy sauce, and then for the like it's a sauce, right? So use
Yeah.
water for the sauce part. Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it.
So that's creative because it comes to the basic of the ingredient, right?
Yes,
Like for eggs, it's the liquid, so we can substitute with the
yes,
another red base.
yes,
And for soy sauce, because it's the liquid that adds like salty flavor to your
yes,
dishes, so you
yes,
can like think of the way to do like
yes. So
mix
you have to
water with.
when you're substituting ingredients, you have to look for what the ingredient does in the dish,
Mhm.
what flavor profile it contributes on the dish, and then try to substitute with a similar ingredient or what you think might be similar ingredient.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those tips, Sadia. I mean, for our listeners as well, especially those that are just new to dietary restrictions, this would be really helpful for them. Um,
Thank-
you've spoken earlier, and you are a proud immigrant yourself, and going through this allergy issues for what 18 years now. But back in those days when you were starting as an immigrant, can you share us the complexity that you've gone through and making this allergen cooking, and how were you able to, you know, keep your budget in check over time? Because I know it probably take a little bit of time to figure out what food to
Yes.
buy in this country compared to back home. So,
Yeah.
and you still getting the flavors, this texture that you always missed back home.
For immigrant household, first and foremost, most immigrant households use spices, right? You can use spices to make the dish flavorful, and then just like change ingredients one at a time, not all together in the dish. See, and start by a simple recipe that has like least amount of ingredients that you need to change. That way you don't overwhelm yourself and the dish doesn't change completely from what it is, and you can still like taste it. For example, I used to make potato and meat curry, and it used to have yogurt in it. The yogurt gave it a tangy taste, and also gave it like a the gravy consistency. So it acted as two things. It contributed two things to the dish. Then I had to think hard, and then I realized that tomato can be substituted for the same purpose. Like the tomato will, if you grind it and mix it in the gravy, it will give it the thickness and also give some of the tanginess that the yogurt can. It won't be the same thing, but it will give some of the tanginess that the yogurt gives. So that's how. You have to sit down and look at the recipe and analyze what ingredients, if any of the ingredients are the allergens, and then try to substitute them with the similar ingredient that has a similar taste profile. Try to keep it like at first. Try to keep it only for one ingredient. Don't try to change the whole recipe, as then you'll end up with something you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Love that. One change at a time. Let's not
Yep.
rush.
One change
Yes.
at a time. And since we're talking about substitute,
Mhm.
what's your go-to pantry staple that every home cook should have on hand to make a quick, budget-friendly meals for allergy friendly dishes as well?
I think this is for any kind of household, whether it's immigrant or like immigrant household or not. But the first and foremost is gluten-free flour. You can use it for baking. You can use it to thicken gravies. You can use it to coat, like if you are frying, like you're making a fried chicken, you can use it to coat the chicken and fry it. And then pasta sauce. Pasta sauce is very versatile. You can use it in any dish. I've used it in even in my Pakistan curries to make the curry, the sauce. Sometimes, if I have run out of other ingredients, gluten-free pasta, rice, or potatoes. These are something that you can keep at hand to use as a side dish, and
Yeah.
it goes well with everything. Then spices, they are your best friend. They make the dishes flavorful, delicious, and of course, oil. Any
Wow.
oil that's safe for you.
And I know that some of the dishes, the meal like samosa, they will have the wrap
Yes.
uh outside of the food, right? So how can you substitute the wrapping part?
You can make it at home. I'm not a very like. Sometimes there are disasters in allergy-friendly cooking. You have to accept that, and you can not make it work for whatever reason. But what you can do is you can use rice paper. It's similar to we make the samosas with. If you're buying the sheets from outside, they are the same, like the same thickness. It's just made out. One is made out of wheat, and the other is made out of rice. If you're allergic to wheat, you can use rice paper to make spring
I
rolls,
did
samosas,
not
and all
think
that.
of
Yeah.
that. Thank you. I would steal some of those tips one day. Especially I love the rice paper tip. Like I did not think of that at all. And
Yes.
talking about sustainability, like it's something that a lot of us think about these days, but hard to achieve. So can you share like how can the home cook make their kitchen more eco-friendly and more sustainable without spending a fortune? Because when people think of sustainability, they're thinking of like the costly appliance or costly ingredient to cook. And I believe that you have the other idea.
First of all, yeah, if you're buying ready-made snacks from the store, don't just go for snacks that you are sure that you and your family eats at home. Don't buy like, oh, this looks good, or oh, this looks good, let's buy it, because it just then ends up in the cupboard and nobody eats it. I've been guilty of doing that a lot. And then for fruits and vegetables, you just buy enough quantities so that they don't go bad. But just in case you do buy in bulk, you should cut them, chop them, and keep them in the freezer so that whenever you need them, you can use them. And for and you should use reusable stuff more. Don't use paper plates, or don't use disposable napkins. Try to use cloth napkins.
Yeah,
Everything
that's a good idea.
reusable in the kitchen. Yeah.
Yep, everything reusable. I love that.
Yeah.
You've mentioned earlier, especially for moms out there that are just figuring out, starting to experiment with what kind of substitutions they have to do in the kitchen. Let's have some lighter question in the mood right now. Can you share us those memorable kitchen oops moment, or if you can share something, like I know you're already like a finesse your kitchen style and how you cook and prepare, but can you also, so that they'll be encouraged to give it a trial and error period?
So with food allergies, anyone who has food allergies or have dealt with food allergies knows that there will be lots of disasters, then there will be successes in the kitchen. There are lots of oops moments. But one that I can remember is cooking my gluten-free pasta for the first time. And I didn't know that you had to cook it longer than the regular pasta, but just enough that it doesn't turn very quickly, like mushy very quickly. If you cook it longer than what is required, it just turns mushy. So I learned that the hard way. First time I made it, my kids didn't eat it because it was too hard to eat. And then the next time I made it, and then it turned into a mush. And there was, again, they didn't eat it. So that was my first oops moment. And then what I learned was you have to be patient when you're cooking with food allergies. You have to experiment a lot and don't give up. First time, your recipe may be a disaster, but keep cooking it, keep trying different things, and you end up becoming an expert in that dish. And it may be just as flavorful as a traditional dish.
Yeah, that's good to know. That just gives
Yes.
me an extra boost
Yes.
because I have been trying to be my best home cook person. It's been 7 years after that I finally figure out flavors and texture, and
Yes.
sometimes I still burn food because
Oh,
I'm
yes.
absentee cooker. But I get to thank you for reminding me that it takes time and it takes experiments, because I was really getting worried myself for 7 years that I couldn't make even a simple.
No, keep going.
But yeah, I'm getting better. Thank you. Really thank you, Sadia, for this wonderful time together. We are now at the end of our episode today. We would love for you to give us a takeaway for our listeners, for especially those starting out there. We have already discussed through that throughout this podcast. What are the first steps, or what are those first key moments that you would recommend to them so that they can start taking actions, that it feels less intimidating, that they can actually get into the successes after that oops moment?
So you have to prepare yourself, or you learn the hard way that there will be more disasters than there will be successes at first. But don't be afraid to experiment and pick up few recipes that you like, where you have to substitute the least amount of ingredients, and then just go with that. And once you are like confident, then you can start substituting more and more ingredients within a recipe. You can come up with new recipes as well.
Just keep trying one
Yes.
recipe, ingredients at a time.
Yes.
And yeah, keep the oops moment fun to move
Yes.
forward. Thank you so much for that, Sadia. Thank you, Allison, for always being here and making sure that everything is up to par. Thank you to all our listeners. Keep sharing this podcast to your friends and families, especially those that are just starting out going through the allergy dietary issues. And to all you out there, we hear you, we see you. Make sure to tag us in all of your social medias and let us know your dietary on a budget cooking experience. Sadia, would you please plug the way? What's exciting things coming up for you? If you have any promotion going on, please do share that to our audience.
So right now we have a 10% off all throughout the holiday season. When you go and buy our samosas online, and we also have an offer if you refer a friend. Then you and that friend get 10% off as well.
All
Yeah,
right,
so
thank
great.
you. This has been the end of our podcast.
Thank you for
Thank
inviting
you
me.
so much. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Until next time.
Allison.
Bye.
Awesome.